Welcome to a Lawless Podcast, where real stories come to life. Broadcasting from the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey, we're just one stop away from the DMV, bringing you raw, unfiltered conversations that matter. At a Lawless Podcast, we bridge cultures and communities, connecting people from all backgrounds and walks of life.
Like in terms, they hold it in. That's what you said. You said men hold it in a lot. It is okay to go through therapy. It is okay to not be masculine, especially in our community.
It is not okay to not be masculine, but go ahead.
It is. No, seriously.
So,
it's okay to cry.
It's okay to not be, it's okay not to be toxically masculine. I can't prescribe to it's not okay to be masculine, but what's your definition of masculinity?
Masculinity is holding it out.
That's not masculinity.
Wait. To me, holding it in, not showing feelings, and just, you know it hurts you. You know she hurt you. You know your mother's passing was traumatic. You know the rainbow war in Sierra Leone was traumatic. But because I'm a man, I don't cry in public. I don't let it out. I hold this anger in that turns into trauma that then turns into an outward.
So you know what I think is scary about calling that masculinity, right? So when we say that holding it in and being strong and not crying, and we label that.
We do it with the kids all the time. You're a man, you just fell. Wake up and wipe it up.
Right, but when we label that masculinity, it leads into men being scared to not be that way. So I don't like calling that masculinity because that's not true masculinity.
Well,
to be honest with
you, that's the reason why most men sit and suffer or die in silence.
Exactly.
Because, no, hold on. Just to piggyback to your point, say, be tough enough.
Yeah.
Stood up.
Yeah.
Stick it up.
Yeah.
Even if you're suffering, it doesn't matter. You're a man.
Exactly.
But the thing is, it's not always. Because we do have feelings too.
They have feelings, exactly.
And sometimes the feelings are very legit. Sometimes the feelings are very legit, and you cannot just say, oh, well, just hold on to it. That's why most men die in silence.
So how do you get men? I struggle with this, right? I don't understand how to get a man to communicate his wants, needs, desires, and
that's
feelings.
Part of that.
You see,
I can't figure it out.
The problem is, because a lot of times women don't give their partners or loved ones audience, especially men. We do not give them audience to listen to them, like to hear that part of the story. Because women always tend to feel like this is my time, this is all about me, and I have to continue with this. All right? Okay. So welcome to another Olalus Entertainment podcast today. My name is Ali, and I'll be the moderator for this podcast. I have three co-hosts here with me today, and I will start with my right here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fatima Dumbuya. I am a clinician, mental health therapist, and I also do some residential work as an executive director for a nonprofit organization providing supports for individuals with intellectual disabilities. And to top that, I am an event planner, and I'm the owner and founder of FD Events. And I'm happy to be here.
Super versatile.
Listen, don't put your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely.
That's what that
That's
is.
great. Awesome. And here on my left, I have...
Hello, everybody. My name is Lorna, and I'm just a dope-ass person.
I know that's right.
Moving along.
I love that.
I like that. Awesome. Short and brief.
I
Dope.
love that.
It encompasses it all.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Hi. B. Moses. I'm a filmmaker, author, and in between, internationally minded person.
Nice.
That I'll let you guys know as we keep going.
Awesome. Okay. Welcome you all to the podcast. It seems like we have a diverse sense of professions here thinking, and this is what we want here. I mean, our goal here basically is to discuss, be yourself, bring your ideas. That's all we need. So our topic for today is what keeps people in long-term relationships. Is it because of love, the habit, or fear?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say it's not.
I'll start right
love.
with you, Lorna.
It's not because of love. Love doesn't create relationships. It doesn't last. It doesn't. Love waxes and love wanes, right? So you can go to sleep in love and wake up in hate the next day. So love is not going to sustain a relationship at all.
But love conquers
But
all.
what are you trying
That's
to
a
say?
lie.
Is it
Love does not conquer all.
Okay.
Commitment conquers all. Dedication conquers all. Because, see, I can love you from all the way down the street. If you're not treating me the way I'm supposed to be treated, if you're not bringing all of the things that you need to bring to the relationship, for me, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you're not handling our household the way it's supposed to be handled, I can love you, but that don't mean I'm going to stay in a relationship with you. Love is just a feeling.
So if I could go biblical just a bit, 1 Corinthians 13, I think. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 13 says, love is patient, love is kind. The love of God, the agape love. If you're in a marriage and you claim to have that, no matter what the obstacles are around you, and granted, right, the storms will come. The Bible says storms will come, but they will not last. You'll walk through the valley of the shadow. You know, let's just go biblical. So we're walking through those storms. But if you have that love as the foundation, the agape love, the God love, that should be able to conquer all.
What kind of love?
The agape love.
Right. So agape love.
Okay.
We're not talking about which one is for romantic relationship. I can't remember because you have friendship love.
Yeah.
You have romantic relationship. So
I'm not sure.
we're not talking about the love that you have for your Lord.
Well,
we're talking
in context, hold on.
finish
In
my
context, that's what we're discussing here.
I
mean, we're talking
let
about,
you go on ahead.
hold on. We're talking about long-term relationships.
Right.
And now we're trying to dissect everything that
But what I'm
encompasses
saying is,
it.
since we're
so
talking,
it's not just one thing. So I'll throw it now to one
Okay.
sec, Lorna. I'll throw it to Moses.
All right. Thank you very much. You see, sometimes when they ask us, introduce yourself, we're very poor. But this topic, I think it's a very good topic that will help me introduce myself.
Okay.
You say the topic is, why do people stay in long-term relationship? Is it love or right?
Is it the habit,
Habit.
or is it comfort,
Comfort?
or is it fear? Because some people do stay in relationships because they fear of what they don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes they fear of the fact that if I walk away from this, what's going to happen to me? Do I know what's going to happen tomorrow? Am I sure of meeting someone that complements what I'm getting here now? So it's a whole...
I'll take it from there.
Okay.
So we all talking here to believe that our experiences also count.
Okay.
Because like what my sister was saying, Luna, I can sense some experience coming. You understand? But staying in relationship, love have something to do with it also. But
Okay.
it is not love all the time.
Okay.
You have other factors that will complete this circle.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, why I am in my relationship and why I intend to stay longer, it's because the relationship I establish with my partner, we have transparency in our communication. And I call my partner my best friend, a friend that she can come to and say, oh, at work today, things were crazy, funny, or upside down. Then I can do the same thing to her, and she have no reservation in telling me that what you are doing or about to do is not making sense. And I'm taking everything in as constructive criticism and part of the relationship, which also have to do with love. So I'll come again, but this is the beginning of some of the reason why I think I am in my relationship, and I think many people do too.
Thank you. You touched on something very, very important that you said. You said experience. Now, let's just piggyback from that point. Okay. Let's say you're dating someone in their 20s.
Why would any of us here do
that? Hold on. It's happening. Yeah. We're talking about love in general.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't have boundaries.
Yes.
Love don't have boundaries, correct? Yeah. You can love someone for who they are. It doesn't matter what they are, correct? Right. Okay. So now you talk about experience. What can you say about a 22, 23, 24 years old in a love relationship? Do they have any experience?
They do.
How can you connect to that? Fatima?
22, 23, 24-year-old, do they have an experience? I will agree, they do. With Moses, they do have some sort of love experience. However, life experiences, in terms of obstacle, they probably do not have.
Okay.
And it may be that they haven't been in it long enough.
Okay.
You know.
And that's the reason why I asked that question.
Yeah, they haven't been in long enough to go through the ringer, to go through the bumps of life.
Okay.
Because they're only 22 years old. They may be dating a high school sweetheart versus someone like me that I'm 40 and I've dated 40, 20, maybe 30 years of my life I've been dating. You know what I'm saying? I've been dating, so I have that experience of the bump and up and back and forth. However, if I want to circle back to the original question, why do people stay in marriages? You know, we talked about some of the love parts. Some other aspect I will say is the fear. You know, as you mentioned, I want to talk about the fear of the unknown, the fear of the community, the fear of being unmarried. Like a lot of girls, and I don't see it for me, a lot of people, marriage is an achievement to them. Right. And they take that, especially in our community, they take that as a throne where, oh, I'm Mrs. So-and-so. Marriage is an experience. Marriage is not an accomplishment. It's not an accomplishment. To me, it really isn't. We all would love to get married, don't get me wrong, but it's not the end all be all. So people will stay in relationships just because they don't want to be unmarried, or they don't want to be, she had a divorce, so I go beer in my language. So the man will go like, he can be cheating for days, and they're sitting there.
Okay.
Can I just
Yes, you can
so
go.
I want to go back to the question that you that you asked about the 20-year-olds, the 22-year-olds, whatever. So do they have experience? Yes. So they have experience with love, right? So that's why I go back to my original statement, which is love starts relationships. It does not sustain relationship. Okay. So they have experience with love. Hopefully someone has loved them in their life and they have loved someone else in their life.
Absolutely.
The life experiences will come with that relationship being sustained, right?
Correct.
So they can grow together, right? And they can learn those life experiences. So just going back to what Fatima was talking about as far as like marriage being an accomplishment and how women can see marriage. I have to wholly disagree, sis. I love you, but marriage is an accomplishment. If buying a home is an accomplishment, if graduating college is an accomplishment, if graduating high school is an accomplishment, marriage is an accomplishment.
Why is that?
I'm about to tell you. Give me a second.
I'm
going to land it, boo-boo. Watch this. So it's another life stage, right? So is it the end-all, be-all? No. Is it all encompassing? No. But it is an accomplishment. It's not easy. It's something that you have to work towards, and it's something that you have to work at while you're in it. It's something that grows. So I don't see how everything else we do is an accomplishment, but that one thing is not.
I totally disagree. Disagree.
Why? So why? Why is it not an accomplishment? What makes it not an accomplishment?
I think that you are in a marriage. You know, and again, biblical. You go and you find your helpmate, right? Like you go and find your helpmate. You go and find person to grow with,
right?
It is a stage to continue to grow.
Right.
A lot of the African, and again, I can only speak for my community because that's what I know.
Okay.
A lot of the African women will see this as an end all be all.
Right.
I'm married. Oh, this not me town for married. Oh, God don't bless me. And then that's it. They don't grow. They don't pursue the self. They take their whole being and put it on this man and grow him.
Right.
And then they stop getting their nails
So that
done.
means
They
it's
stop
not
getting
all encompassing, but it doesn't make it not an accomplishment. So that's where they mess up at, right? So we don't want to go too far to the left. We don't want to say, this is my whole life, right? And I have arrived. Now I'm married. I've arrived.
Exactly.
Right.
Period.
But we also don't want to say it's not an accomplishment at all. It absolutely is an accomplishment. We are like, it's one of the most important institutions in society. How can that not be? But it's not the end all be it all. That's
Let's
I will
keep
agree
it.
with
Let's
you
keep
there.
it straight like this, Moses. Before I come to you,
Moses
Yes.
got some points.
you got some point there. Before I come to you,
she said.
yeah, I just want to add something to what the two of them were saying in terms of accomplishment. True love or true relationship requires commitment, requires continuity, requires patience
Okay.
and time. So I may agree with you at
that's
some
an
point that
accomplishment
it's an
'cause they've-
accomplishment.
they've
Because you
worked
put in a lot of time into this
to do
situation
that
at
commitment.
all times.
Okay,
day
if you
in,
put
day
it that
out.
way.
Hold on. You put in a lot of time into this day in, day out. So you accomplishing something, even to stay together. That's why we see couples that have been together for 50, 60 years will be like, wow, how did you guys do it together?
and we respect and admire them.
Correct. And we adore them with a lot of respect because it takes a lot of energy, patient time to get to that level. You know, imagine even some people, you can't even last with them for more than a night stand.
Right.
Because they're just not in your league. They're just out of it in terms of attitude, the way they do business, the way they conduct themselves. You just can't stand them in any way or shape. So in order for you to be with someone for that long, definitely is an
You
achievement.
gotta work. Yeah.
Over to you, Moses.
Yes, sir. You see, I'm not going to play it safe in this case, okay?
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Don't play
here.
safe. Be real. Yes,
Let's
that's what I
be
want.
honest here.
Absolutely.
You see, the accomplishment part. In my introduction, I added international,
Okay.
meaning I've been to places. When you look at marriage today, there's this saying or expression like gold digger type thing, right?
Right.
Marriage has that a lot. Some people go for it because the guy is rich. So if you're looking for material
I'll go for that.
part, that's material accomplishment in terms of the married.
Okay.
Now, she was saying something about some people married and give up. Like
Right.
they give
give themselves
everything to
up.
the married.
Yeah.
Correct.
I've seen it. I know it because I talk about these things a lot. You
Yep.
understand?
Okay. Yep.
Some people go into marriage,
Yep.
say, okay, this
I've
is
arrived.
Yes, the place I'm looking for. Spirituality, family connection, community influence, everything mixed. So they like, I'm married, so I am righteous. I'm there. You understand, my brother? So now, if me and you, we're talking here about why people stay longer in relationship, in terms of this family, and you were saying this because I belong to that side. Some people are in the relationship because of community and family. It's not their relationship. It's their family's relationship. My mama want me to do this, and my uncle support this, or my brothers want this. But she is dying day
Inside.
in, day out.
Inside.
That's
So
a very good
this is
point because
another
what I
reason.
was going to look into based on this conversation is cultural underlining when it comes to relationships. I mean, some of us came from different backgrounds. We see how some people ended up being in relationship because the family want them to be. Some people stay there because of tribal linings. Because the tribe, like for example, Muslims, you know, they just don't believe that a relationship should end, especially some tribes. So now the situation is, how do we continue with situations like this in terms of keeping our relationships together? You know, looking at the religious aspect and the cultural aspects of marriage. And you were talking about the family aspect as well, which is really a key part. You know, oh no, this relationship cannot end. You guys need to come back together, sit and work it out. Even though things are going left, some people still believe you can pull it through to go right. Some do have really good intentions to make sure that this thing work. But for the most part, if you're not in a relationship, you don't know whatever is going on in that relationship. So I'll start with you, Lorna.
So, can I hit it from the religious?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
You can say whatever.
all right, whatever though. Be careful. You know who you talking to. Be careful now.
Yes.
So let me say this: I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Right. I was also married to a Sierra Leonean. Okay. So, you didn't know that?
I never knew that.
Okay. Well, now you know. So,
She was good. He was good, right?
Don't ask that part.
We're gonna do it.
Moses, don't ask that. You will not get an
If he was
answer.
that good, wouldn't he still be my husband?
Let us
That's a
speak. All right,
different
go ahead,
topic for
Lorna.
a different day.
Anyway,
We'll
because
let
see,
you-
Moses over here
Yeah.
starting stuff.
We'll let you land. Moses, don't start anything yet, please. Let her land, man. She has the mic right
Anywho.
now. Okay.
It's a
So-
topic for a different day.
Yes, absolutely. Or maybe when we're off camera. So, Moses made me forget what I said. My parents were I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's, yeah.
Okay. So when things weren't going too well, right? I had that little voice in the back of my head because Jehovah's Witnesses get married, you do not get a divorce. The
I heard
only grounds that you will ever have for divorce is infidelity,
Okay.
Right, which is
which is
same as
biblical.
Christian, yeah.
Well, so Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians,
Right.
but they take it to a whole nother level because they do that whole excommunication or disfellowshipping thing. So you run the risk of getting
Are they
put
not
out
on
of
the
the
same
religion.
level with the Mormons in terms of when it comes to that?
We'll
Marriages?
talk. I'll tell you more about it when we
Okay.
come off camera.
All right,
Because
go
if we
ahead.
start talking about it, there'll
Okay.
be a whole nother topic.
Yeah, I need a spirited conversation. So
Yes,
let's
I
go.
will. I'll fill you in on all of that.
Okay.
But it runs a little bit deeper because you literally risk losing your
They
whole.
can excommunicate you.
Yes, absolutely.
Your family?
Yes. And so once you get excommunicated, you lose your entire family. Like nobody talks to you, no friends talk to you. But I don't want to get too far into that.
Okay.
So it's like ingrained in my head, in the back of my head, divorce was never an option. Divorce was never an option. Divorce was never an option, right? And then I have that little cultural part too coming from my in-laws. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm having bringing children to this country. Oh my gosh. How can I bring these children, nieces and stepchildren, bring these children to this country to a broken house? I have my niece, auntie, please don't, you understand what I'm saying? Please don't leave my uncle because you marry the entire family. And I loved the family more than I loved the man.
Right.
Right? So now I'm running the risk of losing a family. That never happened. I think they like me better. But I'm running the risk of losing the entire family. You understand what I'm saying? So although I never really had, I guess by the time I was getting ready to divorce, no, my mother-in-law was still alive. She was, and she begged me too, right? So how can I disrespect her?
Right.
How can I disappoint her? How can I tell her no? I'm a whole American woman, but my heart hurt more for her than it did for my husband.
So pretty much you were married to the family, not to the guy anymore at some point. That's how it feels to you because you're more connected to the family than pretty much a relationship.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'll transition to you, Fatima. You are from Africa. You know the tradition. You know the style. You know the culture. How does this resonate to you? How does this really relate to you? Based on experience and what you have seen from family backgrounds and all that stuff.
You know, I think a lot of times is that we need to, as women, we need to choose yourself.
Okay. What do you mean?
You need to choose yourself. You need to be real and true to yourself.
Okay.
You need to be able to vocalize
Okay.
when you're not happy.
Okay.
You need to be able to have the conversation. And I'm not saying, please,
I'm not
let me
holding-
correct. 1 second. I'm not saying when things go wrong, you run.
Okay.
You should be able to work and fix it with your partner, right?
Right.
But be able enough to vocalize when he moved my toothpaste from this angle to this angle. I should say, I like my crest whitening. I don't do degree. Or whatever the case is.
Okay.
But a lot of us African women, it's like they, and again, you can be submissive to your husband, but don't worship your
I'm not cutting you. That sounds really like a modern woman now.
Well, I'm
And
sorry.
here we're talking about cultural differences and religious differences. And based on our own explanation, you see how the whole family was into her. The entire family was into the marriage. It's not about your feelings anymore. And what you're saying right here is what the modern...
It's modern. Well,
is
I
what
will
the
say I
modern
grew up...
woman will express. It's not what the religious or the cultural woman will say. Because now you have to think about the cultural aspect of it.
Well, I think that I may be the wrong person to answer that question because obviously came to this country when I was 4.
Okay.
I'm 40.
Okay.
Even though I am in
Have
here,
you been married though?
so I don't know.
Have you been married?
I've never been married.
Okay.
I've never been married.
'Cause I think,
but I've been in long-term relationships that were close enough.
Qualified
To
be seen like
marry.
mine.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You know,
Mr.
but she did a very good job in answering that.
No, I like
She
that.
did.
Yeah,
She
because
did.
because on the cultural aspect, you married to the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have religious belongings, just like what you said about Jehovah Witness, you are married based
life.
on your religious beliefs. So what you're saying may work with the modern woman, but may not work with the cultural and
so
the
can
religious.
I say something? Let me
But
just say
when
this.
we go
I was
as
gonna
a-
give
okay.
Moses the
Yeah,
time.
I want to speak
Yes.
to that as a
Because
modern
I don't
woman.
want to miss. I don't want to miss this part. You know, because I like to stick to the script, right?
Okay.
You say the cultural part. Let
And
me
the
talk
religious.
about one part about the man.
Okay.
Men will stay in the relationship longer because they know most of the time they are the abusers. They get away with things.
Okay.
Things will be in their favor. This is culture I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because if we go like where I'm from, you know, they have musicians, like more than 20, 30 musicians who will sing, women, you know you are slave, which means you should be obedient and just listen.
Okay.
I'm a Madingo man.
Okay.
That's like, if I say that to Madingo people, they'll be like, boy, you are right. Nobody will question me. So we the men, we know when the congregation come, everybody's going to tell the woman, you know, women build
gotta
the
be
family.
submissive.
Without you, the kids will lose and something. So even though I'm the bad guy, I will end up coming on top. So do you think I'm going to call that relationship off? I will stay for a little bit longer. I think that also come from our culture.
So can I pose a question? I know that we're...
Hold on.
I got to speak on
I'll
this
give you the
modern
mic. Yep,
woman thing,
go ahead.
'cause I can't
Right.
let you get away with that modern woman comment.
Well, that's where I wanted to go, but go ahead.
Give me 10 seconds.
Yep.
So I'm going to say this because we're very close in age. I'm a little bit older than you, but we're very close in age, right?
Okay.
So I think that most of my views are modern, right? As an American woman, I think that some things are just human situations, and some things are just our societies are set up in certain ways very more similar than we realize. Okay? So when you get married, I don't care what your culture is, unless your spouse simply does not have a family, you marry that family. And that family is going to have some influence and some bearing, you understand what I'm saying, on your marriage. And I don't care
Absolutely.
where you were born or where you're from. And I agree with Fatima that women do need to stay true to themselves. But there are so many factors that come into marriage, right? Because when we talk about family, we are talking about children. We are talking about helping each other take care of our elderly parents. We're talking about nieces and nephews that are orphans. You understand what I'm saying? So you never just marry one person unless they don't have a family. And all of those things come into a factor. And I'm not saying that we should get lost in those things, but they do need to play a part. They absolutely need to play a part in our decisions as to whether or not we're going to stay together or leave. Because you are affecting many people's lives. If you stay in a bad marriage, if you have children and you stay in a terrible marriage, you raising crazy children. I don't care what nobody says. Right? Because we're always like, stay together for the kids.
Right.
But we fighting every day and they watching daddy knock my block off every other day. That's not good for the kids either, right? So all of those things come into play when we think about, and I don't care what the century is, when we think about whether or not we're going to stay in our marriages, family comes into play.
And I agree. There is no disagreement on that part. I mean, that's why I try to segue into the cultural aspect and the religious aspect. The other part I will move into is the economic and the financial aspect.
So before we do economy and financial, what are we striving for? I know we talk about religion and cultural. And when I brought up views about modern, like what are we striving to go? Shouldn't we modernize? Shouldn't we evolve as the world modernize? Shouldn't the expectations on men be like I won't want a man to say, although I respect the cultural aspect, don't get me wrong, but you have to evolve. You have to go as the world grow. Things are modernizing. You can't say, oh, because in 1987 my mother used to do this in her marriage, that means when I marry my woman in 2025, she has to do this.
That's an excellent segue into finances, though.
Well, that's
there's a reason why.
Okay.
There's a reason why our
you brought that up.
mothers
So let me just say,
country.
that's a great way. So the modern woman ties to financial and education.
Okay.
But we'll get to that.
Okay, let's go.
But the reason is we're talking about the cultural and religious aspect because we all have cultural belonging. You know, I mean,
everybody has a culture.
Everybody have. So you cannot talk about long-term relationships. You cannot talk about relationships or love without bringing what your religion play into. Some people will say, "I'm not gonna marry this guy because he's Christian or he's Muslim."
And I will. I've said
I
that. I will not marry a Muslim man.
I don't fuck around Muslims, you know, or I don't fuck around Christians. People say that. People will say, "I don't do black people." Some people say, "No, I don't date white."
Nobody.
So you have to understand that part.
Everybody
so
does
now,
that.
to segue to that point now, to segue to the finances now that we talk about modern women, to bring to your point.
Okay.
Now, what role do finances play in long-term relationships?
Can we start with this country, and then I'm going to step back?
You can start anywhere. You can start in India or China. That's all good.
I want to start right here because I want to talk about something that I keep hearing on these podcasts, and you hear the men in the manosphere. Okay, talking about how our grandmother stayed and our mothers stayed. Okay, so my parents are like early 70s. They got married when they were 18 and 19. Nice. When my mother married, it's so crazy because my son is 18 now, and I was looking at him and his girlfriend like, what in the world? So anywho, when my mother married my father, she couldn't own property without a man.
Wow.
She could not have a bank account. I am 43 years old, okay? So we're not talking about 100 years ago, right? Oh, I just told you how old I was. She couldn't have a bank account without her husband. She could not have a credit card without her husband. So finances did not.
And this was here in the United States.
Where was I born? Right here in the Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. So prior to late 70 something or so, that was the law. That was the law of the land. Women could not own property, and women could not have bank accounts, and we couldn't handle finances. Even if, let's say,
and was that part of being a submissive woman?
So it was the law. This was not something that women just said, I'm going to do. That was the law, right? So if you left your husband, where were you going to live? Where is the money coming from? Because even if you were working and putting money in the bank, whose account was it going into? You didn't have access to it because you couldn't have a bank account without a man, right? So that is why our mothers stayed.
But then when you look at the divorce rate at that time, was very low.
That's because they couldn't leave. They couldn't leave. You couldn't survive without a husband.
Look at where the divorce rate is.
Because we can leave.
Because of financial independence, financial freedom.
No. So that means
it's twisting it.
Okay, hold me back. Because basically what you're saying is that we had to stay, and I agree with you, right? But you're like feeding the demon right now, okay? Because that means that we had no option. We had to stay in abusive relationships, right? And as human beings, I'm not saying that men are just terrible individuals, but as human beings, when we tend to have that kind of an upper hand, your average person becomes very abusive. Mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, spiritually. Because where are you going to go?
because they're the provider.
That's true.
So, but let me drop
Okay,
this.
Fatima,
Let me drop
go
this,
ahead.
right? You talk about women staying, and because they're not financially incapable or financially sturdy to move on.
Right.
Let's talk about the man that stays and leech. And I use that word leech with a capital L on women.
Let's get into it.
You know, so it's a double standard. It's like both ways. There are men that literally will stay in relationships because of the benefits that they get from their woman. I've seen my aunties, my uncles, my folks go through, let me just finish my schooling, or let me come here. Let's not even talk about the one that comes to the country and stay for 4 or 5 years until they get on their feet, get their green card, and boop, they're gone. Why is that? Somebody answer me. You guys are both masculine.
So
I'll throw that to
answer
Moses.
me, man.
Moses.
okay, technicalities. These are technical conversation, but
Well, what angle are you looking
they are
at it?
Still straightforward.
Okay.
Because the coin, you have two sides.
Okay.
So you can talk about the men doing the same thing that the women are doing in this situation. Let's just establish that fact.
Correct.
But now, let's talk about the men who stay in relationship
Because of their game.
digging goal, right? Going
Correct.
after the goal.
Exactly.
We have that. Now, you see, what my experience has taught me is that most of the trouble we men in particular make in relationship is because we lack better preparation at the beginning.
Sure.
Okay.
How many friends do we have, or how many of us who will come forward and say, my dad used to call me and tell me how I should be a gentleman. My dad used to teach me how I should take care of my wife tomorrow. How many of men can come forward and say, my dad did that, or my uncle was
It's
doing
all by
that?
experience,
100%, maybe you get maybe one, or maybe not even one, right?
Right.
So this is where the damage was done.
The foundation, right?
The foundation. So now,
That's
the
a good
gold
point.
digging part, if you grow up in an environment where you hear people talking like, hey, you know, if you keep going, you meet a lady who this, that's the mentality you are schooled in. So doing that to your lady, you don't see it as anything wrong.
So,
Okay, so together, okay, hold on, Fatima, hold that right there.
Okay.
So, if I can summarize what the three of you just said, here is people get prepared or get ready for the wedding day. They're not ready to get
Say
married.
for life.
For life.
Oh, yeah.
Based on what you just said, how people come here and will try to stay in a relationship because they're financially benefiting. You know, so it's pretty much people will come with a mindset that I'm preparing for the wedding day only, and forget the fact that marriage is a
It's
journey.
long-term.
It's a long journey. It's not a
I
one
will
day.
even, sorry, I'm
Hold on.
not trying to, I will even say they are not getting ready for the marriage because it's like a mission.
No, well, people do
getting
get
ready
no,
for the
no,
wedding.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, that's the mission. The mission is to make sure the day go very successful. Like I
Yes,
said,
yeah.
it's a saying like you get ready for the wedding day, but not
Right,
ready
but not the
for
marriage.
for the marriage.
Can
The
I-
marriage is a long time. The wedding is just one day. So that day is done. It's done. So what is your preparation for the long time to start between times? Are you just there for the money, or are you just there for the true commitment that marriage talks about?
Can I just say something?
You can go ahead.
And we talked a little bit about this off camera, right? I would like to normalize this being realistic, okay?
Okay.
Marriage, finances play a huge part in marriages, right?
Absolutely.
So part of the reason why we have always gotten married is for financial gain.
Right.
Right? So historically, throughout history, you know what I'm saying? Women are always going, that's why this whole gold digger thing just gets on my nerves. Because yes, that's absolutely true. We
Right.
look, what a woman looks for from a man is provision. That's one of the things that we look for from a man, right? We look for you to provide, and we look for you to protect, right? So since we're not actively in war right now, the only way that you can protect me is by making sure this roof stays over my head and these lights stay on. So let's stop being ridiculous about money, right? Because money makes the world go round. When you have, whether you have a woman that's working or she's not, bringing money into the house or whatever, when you have two incomes together, especially in 2025 with the way their finances are set up, right? You can have, financially, you're going to be more stable. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is a
problem. There is a problem to that statement. Two incomes. I mean, generally, as men, we don't look for a woman to take care of us because your money is your money, and my money is our money.
But that's one less thing that you have to. And so that's one less thing you have to do.
And that's the problem.
Even if you don't want my money.
No, hold on. Because the problem is you can now rely on that other income, because that income is their income. And my income as a husband in this relationship is our income. If that's how
you want to set your relationship up, that's your business.
It's not how you said it.
It is how you said it. That's what you and your woman decide on.
Can I jump in? So I appreciate that mindset, right?
Yeah.
Of your money is your money and my money is our money. I appreciate that mindset. However, if we want to be realistic, that is not every man's mentality.
It's not most men's mentality.
It's not most men's
men
mentality.
Can't even
in
afford
general
that.
Perspective.
That is your
most
perspective,
men
and
cannot
I do
afford
appreciate that. But a lot of men go into these relationships, and what they're looking for is a 50-50, or maybe a 75-25.
There is no such thing as 50-50. I disagree with that 100%.
And that is your upbringing, and it speaks to how you were raised.
No, I agree that there's no such thing.
There is no such thing as 50-50.
Because somebody is always going to be
You come into a relationship saying that it's 50-50, it's quite ridiculous. I mean,
but sometimes it sways away from the man to the woman.
And you want to know the truth? It's always 80-20.
That is your perspective.
And you cannot deny that.
Please.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this one.
80, the woman is always
20%
geared towards the 80%.
Yeah,
that's what they're asking for.
No,
the current time, the modern woman asks for 80%. If we're talking about finances or talking about a relationship in general, they're looking for 80%. The man left with the 20%. But when it comes to the financial establishment, come to financial obligations of the home, then now you flip the coin. The man is expected to take care of 80% and the woman 20%.
So let me tell you why 50-50 doesn't work. 50-50 doesn't work. As a woman, I'm going to tell you why it wouldn't work for me, okay? And most women. 50-50 doesn't work for me and most women because I'm going to end up paying 80, and I'm going to tell you why.
How are you going to pay 80?
I'm about to tell you, wait a minute. Hold on now. Hold on. Rock with me.
Thank you.
If we sit down and we say, these are our bills. Let's say we have, let's say we had $3,000 in expenses, in household expenses, right? And I'm going to pay $1,500, and we're married, and you're going to pay $1,500. But we have 3 children. Christmas comes. Who's buying them Christmas gifts, you think? Me. Decorations. Who's buying those decorations? Me. Mommy, I need money for a trip. Where do you think that money is coming from? Me. Mommy, can I go to the ice cream truck? Me. Right? And then in addition to that, my upkeep, all of this don't just happen. And it costs way more money than it costs for you to go get that haircut, which looks very nice, by the way.
Does the same application happens to housewives? Because you're talking.
Well, if you're a housewife, then there is no 50-50, right? Because you're not bringing. So I'm talking. We're talking about.
Most women fall in that class.
I'm talking. No, most women do not. No, not most women in the United States of America. We cannot afford it. Let's be realistic here, right?
I'm talking about in general perspective.
But your average man, y'all might want that. You might want to have that dominance.
Sounds good.
It sounds excellent. I love it.
Let
a man come and tell me he want to pay all my bills. I'm with it. But your average black man in the United States of America does not make enough money. You might. I'm talking about the average black man in the United States of America.
No, you're right. 10%. I can give you the statistics right now. It's 10%.
That make enough.
That makes over 6 figures.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
so your average man does not make enough to go at it by himself and support a whole family. And we can have a good life where maybe we can take a vacation once a year and we can actually afford to educate our children and we're not catching the bus to get to work. right? So let's be real about it. I honestly don't necessarily see, like, we hear people talking all the time like a real man doesn't worry about money. A real man absolutely does worry about money, because if you have to live realistic and look at your life. If you making $50,000 a year, you can't afford a family. That means you can't really have one.
Not this
so
days.
you're gonna
Yeah,
want a
you're right.
woman that's gonna match your 50,000 at least.
Right. So hold it right there, Moses.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is nice. Thank you. When
Okay.
it comes to this financial
Moses
part,
is so polite.
and
Yeah, he's very polite.
and I'm going to take my time to talk
Absolutely.
about this part, because some part of it will sound autobiographical, but because I'm in this.
All right.
My wife right now, she's the first girl I ever kissed. Age 10. I kissed her, and that day I moonwalk. Seriously.
She sent you to the moon.
Like, oh man,
That's
I kissed
awesome.
Love
I didn't
That's
know what
a good
kiss
sense.
was, right?
How long have you guys been married, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm from Sierra Leone originally. That's why I asked if that brother was good to you. But so Sierra Leone, at one point, there was a civil war in our country. That's what the world know. We all went our separate places.
Okay.
I was in Japan. I grew up
Oh, wow.
practically in Japan.
I never met a
25
Sierra
plus
Leonean
years.
who said I'm from Japan.
25 plus
Wow.
years.
Wow.
So I will
You're
lean
Japanese.
more to Japan. Trust me, because that's where I learn a lot of things. But 25 plus years later, me and her, we reconnected.
Wow.
Get married. But before that, I started talking. She said, the last time I knew you, you couldn't say a word. Now you cannot stop talking. I said, because what I'm saying, I meant it. I want to marry you, or you want to wait for another 20 years. She said, let's go slow. Until I bought ticket to come to US to see her. She's like, this guy is serious.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Everything I told her, she thought I was talking. I meant that. I said, I'll come to America, I'll be your best friend, I'll fight for you, and I'll make your friends will ask you how you did it.
Oh, that's
And-
a good love story.
That's what we live.
Okay.
Me and my wife, we have joint account. Ask me how much we have in our account. I don't know.
Okay.
My card, they always charge me for not using it.
'Cause
She
she handles
take care
it.
of it.
Nice.
She do everything. And
Nice.
to say women will pay more, I agree. It's true. Because she doesn't even ask me. Sometimes she come like, you want to talk about it? I said,
Just
you're the
handle
one
it.
taking care. I don't want to talk about anything.
Okay.
I don't even want to know what's there. But when we started, you know what I told her? If you're going to spend 1 cent, I should know. She said, "Eh, you mean if I do grocery, I have to tell you?" I say everything. She thought I'm that guy who will start going like this.
Micromanage, yeah.
I just wanted to know if this lady can take care. But after that, I never asked her. Now she understands where I was coming from.
Awesome.
So my brother, you see about 50-50, 130 or 0-0. Me, I think it's all about the principle you set as couples.
Initially.
Leave the world outside. That system, here in Senegal or in London and all this, Senegal doesn't live with your
In
wife.
America.
America doesn't live with your husband. You guys live together.
That's a very good point.
So if you create your own and you believe in it and practice it, you be moving. People ask us, you guys are honest. We are always on TV. We clown each other. We do everything. But that's our life. So I think the money part, that's where I will put it.
It's 100-100. It's 100-100.
And that's a good point. But again, we cannot forget the fact that when we are in relationships, just like you said, we have to think about how we define this relationship. And anything in life, you have to define it and set the stage. If you don't define it, you will not know where you're going.
Right.
When we started this conversation, I define the topic and set the stage.
Right.
That's why we're still talking and we're still on track. If someone is trying to sway away, bring you back
Right.
into the road and keep going. And that's what it is. So I agree with you on that part. I mean, but at the same time, we are in a modern society. We are in a lot of things that are dictated by what's going on out there. You know, you have social media these days, a lot of them. I don't even know the names because it's a lot of them that we listen to, we watch every day, and we follow the contents and we see how things are going there. And those things are changing our views, our perspectives, and the way we do business. And trust me, it's a way of life. You cannot change it. You cannot go against it. If you do, you're wasting your time because it's going to affect you big time.
Right.
And before I jump into the conclusion, before we wrap all this together, you can go ahead, Fatima.
Yeah, just quickly, I just agree what he said. You don't bring Japan in. Japan doesn't live with you.
I don't even know how people get visas to go there.
And I'm just saying that American doesn't live with you, right? So it's building that standard ahead of time. Be proactive.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do, and it's all about courting. So I rest my case.
Yeah. So to wrap this all, how do we survive long-term relationships? I mean, like, is it based on boredom? Sometimes things happen that will create resentment. Sometimes it's personal self. And sometimes, is the sex good enough to stay within? Or is it about time for me to bounce?
All of those things.
I'll start with you, Moses, because your hand has been up. Yep.
So,
and be brief. Don't.
all right. So this is it. What I've learned from this conversation. That's why I keep saying thank you. It's always good to listen to other people's account. And when you listen with the intent to understand, you go with something.
Correct.
My sister said, I grew up in Jehovah's Witness home. She said, I came here like 4 and something. You can call me Sarah Leon, whatever, but I know 4 years to now, this is me here.
What I know.
You understand? And you gave us a lot of contributions, and I did. What I would say I take from this, let's start with the beginning. Am I really into you? Are you really into me?
Okay.
If we are into each other, what's the term I am thinking before even telling you what I'm thinking?
But is true love quite enough to maintain a long-term relationship?
You see, true love cannot be defined by one person or one experience. Because love is love. When love comes, the heart can tell you, she's the one, he's the one, and all that. But to make love survive, there is a lot of things that will come to play. I may love your body, your face, but the way you talk to me, the way you look at me, I don't like it. Do you think true love alone can keep me going forever? No, there's a lot of, component, right?
Okay. So I'll hold you right there because we're running against time. So that pretty much ties to, it cannot just be love alone to maintain a long-term relationship.
Yes.
It has to be other factors because marriage
Yes.
is a long journey. It's not just a sprint that you just go. This is like a marathon. So you have to get ready for the hurdles, the tough sides, the good sides, and the bad sides. So over to you, Lorna. What is your thought on this conclusively?
So, very briefly, my thought is it's all of those things that you named, right? But the one thing that ties all those things together is dedication. You just have to make up in your mind that I'm here for the long haul. You know what I'm saying? And love is just not it. You understand? I've loved many men. I'm like the woman at the well. Remember Jesus told her, you've had many husbands. Honey, I've had many a husband, okay? But that, you okay, Moses? They don't talk like that in Japan, do they? But they were not my husband. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
love is not going to do it. It's the dedication and the commitment that does it.
Okay. So pretty much just because you love someone is not enough to be in a love relationship with them. But you have to have the courage, dedication, commitment, time, patience
Sometimes it's boredom.
to continue with this. Over to you, Fatima.
Makes sense. For me, in conclusion, I will say, pray it through.
Okay.
Pray it through. Stick it through. Pray it through. And have some sort of common denominator that will always bring you guys back together. Moses mentioned, really like that person.
Okay.
Don't just do it because of whatever stigma, whatever you're trying to. Really like that person. So when they get on your nerves, you like them. You really like them. When they, whatever. So go back to that foundation and setting the tone and setting the standard and hold that as your goal. That's what I am going. So in times of issues, you go back to that foundation. Why did we first meet? What happened? Where were we at?
Okay.
And here's to the girl that's never been married. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. I agree with you.
You ain't have to walk through the storm to understand it, honey.
And thank you all.
Right.
Thank you
My
all very
brother.
much for coming here.
Have you ever received a bonus from anybody?
Not yet. Why?
A financial
There is-
one? What kind of bonus
there-
we talking
there
about,
is-
Moses?
Please allow me to give you guys one bonus, please. It's
What is
just
the bonus? I'll
5
give you 1
seconds.
minute.
Yes. So my bonus is, please, everybody who's watching this. First, I will say thank you to Olalo's podcast. This is beautiful. But my bonus will be this. My sister said when you started, where you started, right? But I'll tell you, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years into your relationship, don't forget that the lady you used to take her to restaurant, movies, and that's why she started loving you.
Absolutely.
But because you have 3 kids now, you're like, no, we all for that and something. Don't go
forget
fall
that.
for that.
Yep.
Go back to
Absolutely.
base. That's the
courting.
Now I
bonus.
feel proud that I gave you my 1 minute bonus. Because that's a very good point.
Yes.
Brothers flunk on it really bad.
Yes.
You know, the marriage start very well, doing everything good, and it's on both sides. Women do too. They're trying to look good, go to the gym, trying to keep it neat, real. After some time, it's like a politician. You campaign to win the presidency. Once you win, you stop campaigning. You don't have no reason to campaign anymore.
Right.
That's what women do, and that's what brothers do too. I mean, yes, I agree with you, sir. Take them out where you used to go, to the movies, just to a walk. I mean, we don't do this. We just focus on one thing. Walk sometimes, 24 hours, come home, no time for sex, no time for talk, no time for nothing. The next day morning, the same
thing. Build date nights.
And that's
Build-
really a reason or a determining factor why most relationships are falling apart today, you know, and we see that.
Build
Yeah.
in date nights.
That's right.
Date nights, regardless if you guys
So,
are 20, 30, 40
I
years.
think we are
date
out of
night.
time here today.
Okay.
Thank
Sorry.
you
This
all
is a good
very
topic.
much. Thank you very much, Fatima.
Absolutely.
Lorna and Moses was really great. I think we did very well. And
Yes.
they say you don't praise yourself, but I think
You did really well, moderator. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
And my sister, nice meeting you. Hey,
Moses.
you see, we met for the second time, right?
Yes,
But today, we become family.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Absolutely.
So this is my question.
So wife is the first person you kiss?
Nice. How you starting this music thing? How you started?
The music, it started from house parties.
Okay. Just going there, just doing
House
your thing.
parties, doing house parties. From the house parties.
pick today, pick a woman from the street, take that woman home, and make that woman a wife in that home. And take responsibilities from head to toe, no fight.
We're talking about a generation of women that are used to making more than their men.
Yeah.
I have never been with a man who made more money than me. Okay? I don't rap, but I do all right. Okay? So I am used to that. But what happens is, like you said, it can be emasculating before I even get a chance to open my mouth.
In this new age of, you know, artificial intelligence, but a woman can just go on a computer and do whatever she don't need a man no more. From an African or African American standpoint, a black standpoint, what can we do to fix that role? What can we do?
You know, be fair with a woman. Like, not look at her like, this is my cook.
Property.
This is my, my go-to for whenever I need her. Because when you see her being strong or building something, like you said, it becomes an issue because she's more than just, the cook or the, take me to Pound Town or the, she's more than that. So I feel like, the generation of men nowadays should just listen, try to be more fair and let her be strong.